On September 11th, 2025, Bethan Hardison, activist, asked Yara Shahidi, activist, in a Forbes interview on how she felt about her world right now. Yara answered honestly by saying she is terrified and would like a plan to fix it. I empathize, and that no one should live in fear. In my opinion, that sounds like a plea for help. I want to help, but how? When Yara Shahidi was younger, she did an equality speech on October 19, 2018 at the Gleason Respect Awards. I argue this speech is a hypothesis to fix her world and reduce her fear. In April 2024, I published my book on Amazon based on this hypothesis, showing that prevention will lead to equity and that equity will lead to equality. This hypothesis will fix the political, economic, and social problems in her world and our world. This non-profit, non-edited channel is a letter to Yara Shahidi and teaching Yara's hypothesis to the public in order to better our world. In the end, Yara Shahidi will get the Nobel Peace Prize for her hypothesis. Dear Yara Shahidi, this is chapter 2, my niece, in 2019. Once upon a time, a black infinitude released its energy 13.78 billion years ago, according to the Big Bang Theory. This is actually a theory in physics and not the television show, but I did like watching that show. The Big Bang started the universe, and it was able to create galaxies, the solar system, and all the people, planets, and animals on this blue marble called Earth. It is here, within this 93 billion light-year diameter expanse of the observable universe, where I call Southern Oregon, within the United States, home. A voice shouts out, "What are you doing?" A female voice rings in my head, and I say confusedly back to her, "What do you mean?" A teenage girl with disgust in her voice verbalizes, "You are supposed to be talking about issues that apply to me and my generation, and not give me a history lesson on the universe. This is way too boring. Stop going off on a tangent and get back to the bet." God. This female teenager is my niece, and a very smart. This female teenager is my niece and a very smart adolescent. Don't tell her I said that. The above conversation was done through text. Actually, all of the conversations in this paper were done by text. Since I know my niece pretty well, I can empathize what it would be like, what it would sound like if emotion were applied to a conversation of ours. My niece is a texting machine. She texts more than she talks. She can be in the same room with someone and she would text them instead of trying to talk to them. In my experience, I would rather talk to the person. The texting conversation from above took place because my niece is my editor-in-chief. With our bet firmly in place, I would email her a rough draft from my paper so that she could read what I put in about her. Plus, she also checks my sources to see that they are credible. She knows me too well. If she didn't read what I wrote, then I would have definitely put something embarrassing about her in this paper. It's so true. In order to win this bet, I had to agree by having her be my editor. I know it limits my freedom as a writer, but I just have to have patience and focus on winning. As far as how the conversation itself started, I sent my niece my first paragraph. I was so proud to finish it. It took me 20 weeks to finally get it done. I felt like a new owner of a restaurant framing my first dollar and putting it over the cash register. After I sent her my first paragraph to read, the text conversation started. I thought the conversation was funny, so I put it into the paper. My niece disapproved slightly, but relented after I gave her some movie tickets for her and her boyfriend to see. Now that is compromise. Just kidding. Well, my niece just graduated from high school, and she is at that age, in my experience, where she thinks she knows everything. She associates whatever I say, as I am a few years older than her applies to me and to older generations. In other words, whatever I say is irrelevant to her. I love the admiration she has for me. I'm just joking, of course. It is more like she thinks of me as an old fuddy-duddy or an old-fashioned person who is just fussy. If you ever met me, you can see where my pride went. With my pride firmly gone, I would have to say my niece does understand what she wants to do in college for a career. She wants to be a history professor and help get Oregon's national ranking in education of 36 out of 50 states to a higher place. This was in 2019. She believes this can be done by having teachers connect to students more on a personal level. She wants to show that they can demonstrate leadership for students by helping them find their purpose. In her thinking, this can only be achieved by teachers being friends with their students. Even with all this intelligence oozing out of her and a great career on the horizon, my 5'7" niece at 120 pounds still thinks the future is bleak at best for her and her generation. She believes that equality for all will never happen and things like racism are too ingrained in the human consciousness to change. I think that equality for all is within reach in the interior of the state of Oregon, in the United States and the world. This means that equality will be available in Oregon, in the United States, and the world through economic, social, and political spectrums for all generations, races, genders, sexual orientations, religions, poor or rich people, etc. Of course, she doesn't believe me, as I mentioned before, because of my age. I will explain later why she thinks this way, but first I will describe who she is through her many texts given to me by her to be put into this paper. For the record, she wanted me to put in her weight and height. My niece describes herself as a strong woman who doesn't define herself with such trivial numbers. These numbers are not a reflection on what a woman really is. It is a person inside that counts. She said this is why she wants to know her height. She said this is why she wants people to know her height and weight. My niece also labels her as a fashionista. For example, I will describe a typical outfit she considers enduring in a text given to me. This is 2019. She is wearing black and white Converse shoes with pink and white short socks barely peeking out. She also texts me to say that her shorts are stretchy, low-rise rip and repair denim mid-shorts, and her shirt is a butterfly letter graphic oversized t-shirt. The t-shirt is a solid gray color with 12 distinct different color-coded and sized butterflies on it, saying, "Butterflies in my stomach." Okay. The last thing my niece texted me to describe her was that she always puts her light brown hair into a bun or ponytail and never wears makeup unless the occasion calls for it. She likes feeling comfortable, and that is being natural as much as possible. She wears makeup for her boyfriend and for her friends, but when she is hanging out with her family, she doesn't feel she has to impress anybody. She texted me to write this. I have a natural beauty that stands on its own, and it gives me more independence if I'm not so reliant on makeup. I tell my niece all the time that I'm the most important person in her life and that she should impress me every time I come into the room. I'll say that again, sorry. I tell my niece all the time that I'm the most important person in her life and that she should impress me every time I come into a room. With this in mind, she should have her war paint, what I call makeup, on all the time. Every time I say this, I laugh hysterically, and she gives me a stare of derision. She texted that she was never this strong growing up. She felt that the world judged her, and she wanted to do everything in her power to fit in. What changed her was her grandma pushing her to see that fitting in is an illusion and Einstein's theory of special relativity. Special relativity is limited to objects that are moving with respect to inertial frames of reference in a state of uniform motion with respect to one another, such that one cannot, by purely mechanical experiments, distinguish one from the other. Experiments show that as matter and energy get close to the speed of light, time slows down and space shrinks. This limit is called the speed of light. This limit is called the speed of light, and it shows that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. She's really smart. What Einstein showed my niece is that when people observe the universe, it is relative to them. She texts me, when I watch Physics Girl, I understand relativity through the twin paradox. This paradox starts off with two twins who are 18 years old. They are females who are as beautiful and as smart as me. My niece. One twin lived in Oregon, and another twin went on a rocket ship for 52 years, going the speed of light. The paradox shows they would experience time differently. The twin who lived in Oregon would be 70 years old, but she would look like my uncle, me, wrinkly, fat, and bald. Wrinkly, fat, and bald. The twin that lived in the rocket ship would also be 70 years old, but this twin would still look 18 years old. She would still look like me, my niece, beautiful, smart, and youthful. God. Time slowed down for the twin in the rocket ship because time slows down when you're going the speed of light. This shows that time is relative for each person in the universe. I laughed about the twin looking like me. She continued explaining in her text, what this shows me is that if the universe gives each individual relative reference points for time, then the universe also gives each individual relative reference points for social experiences like fashion, makeup, boys, cars, etc. This also applies to how people see you. This means that Grandma was right and that fitting in is relative. Everyone in my high school wants to fit in, but it is relative to that individual. This means that there will be no clear consensus on what that looks like. For example, if I went to high school tomorrow and wore the right amount of makeup for me, there would be some girls, guys, and non-binary people who would hate it and some that would like it. It is all relative, like Einstein said. The universe is so simple, elegant, and cool all at the same time. This is why I just stick to my relative being and just keep to things that make me happy. This is why I have no time for stress in my life or people that stress about me, because again, it is all relative according to Einstein. My niece. Ichni san shi go kuju konnichiwa lalun oui hola buenos dias adios we all win together de nada.